Welcome to the Vol Bros. My name is Evan. This is my brother, the Golden Flash, and he survived after the game yesterday. His team uh, didn't do so great on the field, but man, oh man, what a time to be a Tennessee Vols fan! Just a few records were set yesterday, not too many, or 4,000, but a few were set. Rustin, what were your takeaways from yesterday evening's game?
Well, first of all, very proud of Kent State's head coach. He had the opportunity at halftime to shorten the second half, and he said, "No, let the beating continue."
Yeah, what in the world was that about?
Uh, I mean, I get it from his perspective. You don't want to be that guy. You don't want to be the coach that walks into the locker room and looks at 80 guys that you brought on the road and say, "Hey, listen, we're going to shorten the second half because we can't take any more of this." Like that's a even though they're probably going to go 0-12, that's the kind of thing that destroys a locker room. Now, if he was smart, he would have looked at his athletic director and said, "Hey, tell me we have to do this."
Yeah, exactly.
Then he could have pinned it on the AD, and his players never would have known the difference.
Right.
But we had a Ryan Dameron sighting. That's how bad it got.
Yeah.
Navy Schuler did not finish a game. That is how bad it was.
Yep.
Um,
I was shocked when Dameron came in. I mean, I thought Navy was going to finish the game. Ryan Dameron came in, and I was like, I don't even know his name. I got to look it up. And so,
yeah,
from Paris, Tennessee. There you go.
yep. I was a little surprised they didn't let Navy get more snaps.
Right.
That was a little weird. But I mean, when you look at it, we were 1 yard away from having 300-yard rushers, which, man, who was the guy on the stat sheet that didn't notice Peyton Lewis was at 99 yards?
Yeah,
Like,
exactly.
let's get him one more carry. Dylan Sampson, 4 touchdowns in the first half. I mean, it's just, what else can you say? They flew around. They limited a Division I team to 125 yards total. And honestly, there were moments when I was like, how'd they get that? You know, just an absolute beatdown in every phase of the game. I mean, even I would love to know, and by the end of the season, we'll know why. But I would love to know why the onside kick with a 30-point lead. It has to be setting up something else. Like that was so out of context for that moment. It had to be they were setting up something in the future. But poor Kent State. Bless those kids. They're going to have to go through this season and just get beat up every week. Doesn't get any better next week. At least they got a little over $1 million to get beat up this week. They'll get another million next week.
Yeah, 1.35 million.
Yeah. They'll get it again next week. So, athletic department's set for the rest of the year off these two butt kickings. But, rough night.
Sacrificial lambs being led to slaughter for the benefit of the athletic department.
The rowing team appreciates their service.
Yeah, for real. Some of the comments are coming in already. Mississippi Vol, welcome, buddy. He said, good evening, guys. Going to be a long wait. And then on top of that, an all-day wait Saturday. You're exactly right. I'm already trying to figure out what I'm going to do Saturday to make the time go by faster. He said, anxious to see us hook up with the Sooners this week for sure. Absolutely. College game day will be there. It's going to be a big time week. HT14 said, I was at the game yesterday. My first game was a 71-0 W. Hey, that's awesome, man. I'm happy for you. That is fantastic. Kevin, welcome, buddy. He said, fun weekend. Yes, it was. Absolutely. Bionic Clay. That's a cool name. Welcome, Bionic Clay. He said, hey, Vol fam, Vol bros. Glad to finally catch a live stream. We're glad you're with us too, buddy. Good to have you. Zach, welcome, Zach. Good to have you, man. He said, good evening, Vol bros in chat. Was it just me or was anyone else laughing? Yeah, I was laughing part of the time. How could you not? I mean, it's just like, there he goes again. Deshaun Bishop taking off again. Keg, welcome, buddy. He said, go Big Orange. Love y'all's content. Hey, we appreciate it, man, very much. Thank you. We love having you with us. Tony, welcome, Tony. He said, not a prediction yet, but if this defense is as good as everyone thinks, there's no way Oklahoma should score 20 points. I mean, that's actually fair. Through the first 2 or 3 games, Oklahoma had 6 third down conversions total through 3 games. That is not good. They had 1 their first game of the season. That is not good. So you got to feel good about that if you're a Vols fan. Jared, welcome, buddy. Good to have you. He said, how many players do you think saw the field Saturday? Oh, man, great question.
I actually saw that somewhere, and I was trying to find it again while y'all were talking, and I can't find it. That's going to be a
lot.
huge number. Like I say, when we have a Ryan Dameron sighting, they were in the stands asking people, "You want to go take a snap?"
Yeah, there was a bunch of folks that got in that game. A whole bunch. Easily over 70, I would say. Maybe over 80. There's a lot of people. Let's see. Zach said, I predicted they'd have 6 points. How dumb am I?
I was upset they crossed midfield twice.
Yeah, they should have had 3. I should have hit that part. Dude missed a field goal. HD14 said, when that onside kick happened, the only thing you could hear after it was, why would they do that when we're winning the game by so much? Yeah, that's fair.
The only logical reason is they're setting up something else. That was for somebody else on the schedule to see.
So apparently, they mentioned this on the broadcast too, but apparently Mike Eckler had told the broadcast staff that their plan was they had seen on film that massive vacant spot in their kickoff return formation. And so their plan going into the game was on the third kickoff, they were going to do the onside kick. But I highly doubt they anticipated that being up 30-0 in the first quarter.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So I don't know. That was the only thing I was kind of like, I don't know about that. Tony, welcome back. He said, Boo Carter should return punts as a squirrel. Mike Matthews needs more stats. So it was awesome seeing Boo back there. We're from Chattanooga. Boo's from Chattanooga. So that was really exciting to see him back there.
Jermod
played
McCoy
really well.
Jermod McCoy looked really good returning punts.
Yep. I will say, Squirrel made me go, woo, when he had that little jump cut on his first or second return. I can't remember which one it was. That was nice. But yeah, Boo's elusive, man. Like he is fun to watch with the ball in his hands. Third and Kitzelman. Oh, I like that. That's a good one. I like that. That's a good name. So I'm assuming this is someone that we have not yet met. Like they just didn't change their name to Third and Kitzelman. I'm assuming this is someone new. So you can let us know if this is a male or female. 90-something% of our viewers are male. So I'm going to assume that unless you tell me differently. They said, make me feel better, Rustin. Nervous about this one coming up Saturday, boys. Everything is shaping up too perfectly on the schedule. Well, that's true. It's this schedule. And after seeing what Toledo did to Mississippi State, good grief, our schedule just got even easier. But I mean, yeah, if one of us is going to make you feel better about Saturday, it's going to be Rustin, not me. Let's see. Go ahead.
182 yards rushing against a very bad defensive Tulane team. Only 167 yards passing for Jackson Arnold. Okay,
this is pretty good. Hang on a second. This is pretty good. He said, I've identified as male since my birth certificate. Amen, brother. Okay, go ahead.
Only 1 touchdown, 1 interception, 169 yards passing for Jackson Arnold. If you watch that Oklahoma-Tulane team or Oklahoma-Tulane game, you saw a average Tulane team playing step for step with a slightly above average Oklahoma team. I stand by my preseason prediction. That's a 7-5 team. You could see the issues on their offensive line. Tulane had 6 tackles for loss. I'm going to tell you right now, ain't nobody in our third string that wouldn't start for Tulane. So
On the defensive line?
yes.
Yeah, I
So
agree with that.
when our top 3 levels of defensive linemen, top 3 depth chart spots of defensive linemen are all better than the 4 starters at Tulane, and they got 6 tackles for loss, and Oklahoma's best offensive lineman is done for the season.
Right.
And what makes it even worse for them was he was bumping back and forth between center and guard because they had issues at both positions and they were trying to figure out how to shore it up. So in reality, they didn't just lose 1 starter; they lost 2 because they couldn't figure out which position he needed to play to give them the best chance. 2 of their other offensive linemen are banged up and may not play. So it's possible that as many as 3 of their starting offensive linemen will not play after giving up 6 tackles for loss to Tulane. Yeah. Wait and see a big day for Bryson Eason, Amari Thomas, James Pierce, Dominic Bailey. List everybody else in the depth chart. It's going to be a good day for Tennessee.
Well, and those 5 dudes on the starting offensive line for Oklahoma were all brand new to that starting offensive line this year.
Yeah.
None of them were, last year starters. So it was already a untested group, to say the least. And like you said, the transfer that was their best one, he's out for the season, unfortunately. And so it is
and I said this a couple of weeks ago too. One thing to watch that's going to be really important. Cooper Mays is going to have Dejon Terry lining up over him every down. Cooper Mays makes this offense go. How much easier do you think it will be for him facing a guy who he faced every day for 2 years? He knows all of his tendencies. He knows his weaknesses. Watch and see if they don't attack Dejon Terry quite a bit.
Yeah, I mean, if there's any place in the game that you can point at and say Tennessee has a very clear edge, right, and distinct advantage right here, it's our defensive front. Well, I'd say front 7 against their offensive line. No doubt. Let's see here. Zach said we were beating them so bad we had a Camp Mays interview. That's exactly right. Yeah. Kevin was joking around. Does Camp still have eligibility? Let's see. AC14 said David Sanders was at the Vol Walk. He sure was. He walked down through there. That's exactly right. Herb said, with OU injuries at wide receiver and line, if we don't kill ourselves with turnovers, I just don't see how they keep up. That's a fair assessment, I think. I think that's a fair. Oh, my goodness. Oreo puppy dog. He said Tennessee 45, Oklahoma 10. Man, I hope so. I hope so.
I could see it.
I would love it if it happened. I just don't.
Telling you, this is a 7-5 team. They're going to get exposed.
AC14 said when they called Boo Carter's name before the game, I'm guessing that's like the whole crowd went boo. Like, yeah, you've got boo and brew now. So opposing fan bases are probably like, what are they doing? Let's see. JL said, welcome, JL. Good to have you, buddy. He said Vols by at least 2 scores in Norman, Oklahoma. Now that I could see. A 14, 17-point win, maybe 20. I could see that. Let's see. Tony said McCoy should not be returning punts. We don't have a lot of quality corners. I agree. He is, based on what we've seen through 3 games, Jermon McCoy is clearly our best corner.
Yeah.
Like that is undeniable. So I 100% agree with Tony. Protect that dude. Protect that dude. I'm with you on that, Tony. Austin said it made me nervous when Jermod was returning punts. He looked great, but so far this year he's been our number 1 cornerback in the room. That isn't the deepest room. He's looked amazing at corner. I totally agree, Austin. 100%. Absolutely. Zach said, Rustin, do you want to change your prediction about Georgia?
Not yet. Georgia, for whatever reason, I don't know why, they never play Kentucky well, and it makes no sense because Kentucky's bad. I mean, they are just bad. I don't know what it is about that game. Georgia never shows up for that game.
James said it was closer than the score showed. Welcome, James. Good to have you, buddy. I think he's talking about the
Oklahoma Tulane.
Oklahoma Tulane game. Yeah, in the late in the third quarter, it was actually like a one-score game or something like that. Maybe 10 points, something like that.
Yeah.
Let's see. Zach said the Sooners will be begging for mercy. Mississippi Vol said, living in Mississippi all my life, that November 9th game is a big one for me. Looking forward to that one. Jeff Lebby, the pupil, makes the trip to K-Town to take on the teacher. Yeah, that ain't going to go well for Jeff. If anybody doesn't know, Mississippi State had a little rough outing last night. They lost, was it 41-17, I think? 41-17 to Toledo.
Like yeah.
At one point, Rockets of Toledo.
Yeah, at one point they were down 35-3.
Yeah, at halftime. At halftime they were down 35-3. Not a great showing for the Bulldogs of Mississippi State. Pretty embarrassing. So when they come to Neyland at night, that ain't gonna be good for them.
Yeah. Jeff Lebby found out the hard way that the cupboard was definitely bare that he took over. There was nothing left.
Yeah. Rebecca, welcome, Rebecca. Good to have you. She said, I'm not worried about Saturday. Heupel's about to unleash. It's about to get super exciting. Hey, that sounds good to me.
I will say that's probably the biggest thing that I'm excited about. We haven't really done anything on defense. Like, we've pretty much just played base stuff. We've let our front four go wreak havoc. We haven't called a lot. Like, opposing offensive coordinators have no film to study. Like, we haven't shown anything. So it's going to be interesting to see what wrinkles Tim Banks rolls out there that nobody's seen yet.
Kevin said, do y'all think we're better or not more loaded? Texas or who do y'all think is better? Texas or Georgia? I'm going to say Texas.
I think from a talent and current play perspective, it's Texas. But again, until you beat the man.
And, I mean, that was reflected in the new AP poll today. Texas and Georgia flip-flop position. So now Texas is number 1 and Georgia's number 2. Tennessee flip-flop with Missouri. So now Tennessee's number 6, Missouri's number 7. But I mean, yeah, I would say Texas at this point, based on what's happening on the field.
The funniest thing I saw all day was when Quinn Ewers got dinged up and Arch went in there and just tore it up. This morning, Quinn Ewers was asked how he was doing, and he started going on about how it was all precautionary, and he's totally fine.
Yeah.
I'm good. No problem here.
Yeah.
Come in.
Yeah, exactly. The only 10 you see, welcome. It's good to see you. Good to see you. She said, hey there, bros. We're glad to see you. She asked a really good question. I'll get to that here in just a second. Michael, welcome, buddy. Good to have you, man. It's good to see you. He said, I think our linebackers will be key against Oklahoma. Our defensive line will collapse the pocket against this inexperienced offensive line, but we have to keep their quarterback from scrambling for first downs. Amen. I think this week really showed Oklahoma what their best offense is, and it's Jackson Arnold scrambling. That's their best offense. Design quarterback runs and him scrambling. Historically, Tennessee has not been great against mobile quarterbacks. Listen, I totally understand that has nothing to do with this year's team. I get that. But when you've seen it for the last 2 decades, I don't know, you just kind of get jaded by it. So historically, hadn't been great against mobile quarterbacks. They're going to have to be good this weekend because that's Oklahoma's whole offense right now is Jackson Arnold making plays with his feet and being a threat with his feet. That's their offense. They discovered that this weekend.
The flip side of that is quarterbacks that get hit a lot and run around a lot don't last very long. And
it's true.
I need to look and see who Jackson Arnold's backup is, but wouldn't mind seeing that guy.
Is it General Booty?
Might be.
Literally, I think that's literally who it is. I'm not making that name up. Like, that's who it is.
Yeah, it might be. I'll tell you in a second.
The only 10 you see said, should we be worried that we had no sacks against Kent State? Now, that is a fantastic question. Here's my answer to that. No, because we didn't get opportunities to. And what I mean by that is this: Kent State was very strategic in the fact that they were getting the ball out of that quarterback's hands as quickly as they possibly could. First possession of the game for them, they had that quick screen pass out. I mean, the ball was in the quarterback's hands for maybe 1 second, if that. Uh, the other opportunities we would have had to get a quarterback sack in the first half, their center snapped the ball over the quarterback's head. And in those moments, I mean, I think it happened 3 times. In those moments, you'll notice our defense was on top of that guy immediately. Like they were chasing the ball with him. So they were in the backfield. And James Pierce Jr. would have gotten, and maybe my favorite tweet of the whole night was from Wes Rucker, but James Pierce would have gotten a sack coming from the quarterback's blind side, but the left tackle for Kent State reached out and just literally just grabbed him. Spun him around. He grabbed him so hard. And Wes Rucker said, it's a good thing that left tackle just grabbed James Pierce because that quarterback is about to get murder, death killed. And I mean, that's right. I mean, like James Pierce was coming for him. So that's the only reason why we didn't get any sacks was because we just didn't have opportunities to get sacks. They were either snapping the ball over the quarterback's head or they were running design plays to get out of his hand as fast as humanly possible.
Yep.
So
General Booty transferred to Louisiana Monroe. He's the starting quarterback at Louisiana Monroe now.
Darn.
The backup is true freshman Michael Hawkins, who so far this year has played 6 plays.
Well, that's just nowhere near as good of a name as General Booty.
I would love
shame.
for Jackson Arnold to be scrambling around and getting hit so much that we get to see what Mr. Hawkins can do for a while.
Third and Kitzelman, I love that name. That's a really good name. I like that. He said Dejon Terry is their best lineman on defense. Yeah, I mean, I could see that for sure. Let's see. Zach said Keenan Peely will have another great game. Yeah, buddy. Listen, we haven't seen anything yet. This is where you're going to see people are going to walk out of this game going, "Whoa, that Peely dude is for real."
Not just him. You know, the easiest way to shut down a mobile quarterback is to have a designated spy, and Arion Carter is picture perfect for that. Yep. He's crazy athletic. He can run sideline to sideline. Jackson Arnold may be in for a world of hurt if Arion Carter's who's hawking him all day long.
Absolutely.
He will let it be known that he's there. Jeremiah Tielander's been playing extremely well too. I mean, it's those 3 guys. Those 3 guys are playing at a really high level right now.
James asked a really good question. He said, "Is Jeremiah's hurt really injured, or was he just sitting out the Kent State game?" So, great question. Heupel was asked that after the game, and he said that they had several people. Hurd was one of them. Cam Selden was one of them. He said they had several people who could have gone if they needed to, but they knew they didn't need them to, so they just held him out as precautionary method.
Yeah, there was 6 of them.
So, great question. Thankfully, he's okay. He will be on the field this Saturday. The only thing you see said it was hilarious watching Dalton Connect DJ with Sterl Pearl. Yeah, it was. He was having a great time, buddy. he had a fun night. HT14 said Vols 42, Oklahoma 13. Man, that'd be wonderful. That'd be wonderful. Let's see. Sam, thank you so much, buddy. He said, good to see us working on developing a center for next year, William Satterwhite. Amen. We're going to need him.
He played well. He did a nice job.
Thank you so much.
Way better than Kent State center did.
Yeah. Thank you so much for that super chat. That was very kind. Thank you. We appreciate it. Let's see here. Mississippi Vol said he agrees about Jermon McCoy. So glad we were able to get him impact transfer, no doubt. TriStar, welcome, buddy. He said Tennessee versus Oklahoma, SEC versus Big 8. I like that. Herb, I agree, buddy. He said, Nico, learn to slide, please. Yes. There are, especially against Kent State. You don't need to take shots against Kent State. Oklahoma, maybe a different story, but Kent State, yeah, just slide. I agree. Let's see. Good grief. Zach said, I'm taking the over 63-21, probably more if Hype can help it. I wish I shared the same. I mean, I feel like I'm pretty optimistic, but y'all are even more optimistic than me. Let's see. Mississippi Vol said, yep, it was 41-17 with Toledo and Mississippi State. Zach said Missouri won, but they got exposed as well. Well, Boston College is good too. That's another part of that. Let's see. Herb said, against an inexperienced line, do you show defensive stunts or tendencies, or let them just pin their ears back and save it? Oh, good question.
Both. You mix it up continually, so those inexperienced linemen are trying to figure out how to pass people off and who's taking who. You want those linemen thinking as much as humanly possible. People who are thinking a lot are not being active, and that you want them constantly wondering who's coming from where.
Chris, welcome, buddy. Good to have you. He said, I'd give anything to have the Gators coming up this Saturday, the one year they finally changed the schedule. Yeah, this is going to be a big time week, though, no doubt. No
Did you
doubt.
see the reports from this afternoon?
Yeah, so there's some. I'm assuming you're talking about that Napier got fired. Those reports.
No, not that. Multiple media members, including Chris Lowe, have reported that a bunch of Florida boosters got together and pulled together Napier's buyout and approached the university and said, "Hey, we got it covered. Let him go." Chris Lowe doesn't publish anything unless he knows it's about to happen.
Yeah, if he publishes it, you know it's 100% factual.
Yeah.
Matt said, "Sup, y'all? Welcome, Matt. Good to have you."
They pulled $27 million after 3 games.
Listen, when the fans are chanting "Fire Billy" at the end of the first half, that's never a good sign.
Well, did you see in his post-game press conference when they asked him about getting booed, and he basically said, "If I were them, I'd be booing too." Yikes!
Yeah. Sean said Jackson Arnold hadn't really impressed me. That pick six he threw was awful. Yeah, totally agree. But it was very clear this past week that his feet are really their only offense.
Which, again, their offensive coordinator, Seth Littrell, he's an air raid guy. The last thing he wants to hear is our quarterback's feet are our offense. Like, that is completely antithetical to everything he wants to do as an air raid guy.
Oh, yeah.
So I'm going to tell you right now, internally, that nobody's happy in that office. Like, there's issues.
Third and Kitzelman. Oh, nice pun here. He said, you think we have to Peely Keenan off Arnold by the third quarter? Yes. My answer to that actually is yes. Maybe by the second possession. We have to. Dude, Keenan Peely is going to be all over the place this weekend. He gets in the backfield so daggum fast. It has been so much fun watching him play these first 3 games. So we're actually going to get to maybe see a full game of him this weekend. It's going to be a blast. Zach said, Evan, you have to get out of that battered ball syndrome. I know, man. I know. It's just tough. Tyler, welcome, buddy. Good to have you. Hey, Tyler went 9-1 in the college football pick'em challenge this week. He rocketed up the leaderboard to tied for second place. He said General Booty transferred to Louisiana Monroe. We appreciate that. Let's see. Matt said he was up there last night, back in the Noog. Oh, yeah, I forgot Matt was from Chattanooga, too. That's cool. Let's see. Matt said Peely is a stud. Yes, he is. Yes, he is. No doubt. Third and Kitzman said T-Lander looks like an NFL blitz player. Yeah, he does. That's totally fair assessment.
There aren't many human beings that make pads look small, and Jeremiah T-Lander makes pads look small.
Yeah. Mississippi Vol said Jackson Arnold will indeed make a few plays against us, but when he does, Keenan Peely, Aaron Carter, and Christian Harrison and company need to make some plays as well. Yeah, they got to let him know you don't want to run. Like that's their job that night. When he takes off and runs, they have to ensure that he doesn't want to do that anymore when they tackle him. Let's see. So HC14 said that Caleb Perry targeting. So I think he means Jacoby Thomas.
It won't matter. It happened in the first half, so
Right.
he's all he had to do was sit that game. He'll be back to start Saturday.
Exactly. So since he did sit out part of the first and all of the second halves, he's already served his time. He will be back starting this Saturday. Let's see. Oreo Puppy Dog said Nico needs to learn to slide in these small games. Agreed, 100% agree. He looked a little shaken after a couple of plays again. So the first possession of the game, the hit that he took on like the 3-yard line, that was a serious hit. I 100% agree. Dude needs to learn to get out of bounds or slide, especially against people like Kent State. Let's see. Yeah, Mississippi all said the same thing. When Jackson runs, they'll make him think twice about running again after that, for sure. Only Tennessee asked the same question. Sam said Oklahoma has an elite defense. They are a good defensive team because of Brent Venables. I mean, that's why they're a good defensive team. So I don't think we're going to be scoring 50-something points. I think we might. I'm going to say we'll save our predictions for the preview show, but upper 30s, I think is probably a realistic expectation for us. Tyler, 100. Oh, yeah, man. This is a fantastic point from Tyler. Tyler said, I think we have improved the most in open field tackling from last year. That is something that travels and will pay big dividends against Oklahoma and others. 100% agree. 100% agree. Yes, absolutely.
So the only thing I'll say to that elite defense comment, if they're so elite, why'd they give up 260 yards passing to an awful Houston team? Just saying.
Kevin said Oklahoma doesn't look as scary. Arkansas as well. When do we talk about Napier's replacement and why we don't want them to call Kiffin before October 12th?
I mean, honestly, it doesn't really matter when they call him. He's not coming until the season's over. So, I mean, if Chris Lowe is correct and they truly have pulled together this buyout money, and he hinted there may be an announcement coming tomorrow. Okay. So again, Chris Lowe doesn't say these things unless he's pretty certain it's about to happen. That's just going to put them in an absolute free fall. And there's only one game left on their schedule they can win, and that's Mississippi State. And if this thing spirals out of control after that, Mississippi State may outscore them. So they may finish 1-11.
Yeah.
At best they're going to be 2-10. And nobody's coming and trying to rescue that in the middle of a season. Like, that just isn't done. So this is going to spiral out of control and be absolute havoc in their locker room. There's going to be half their team's going to quit. They're going to say, I'm going in the portal and I'm done, because that's the new trend in college athletics. If you're not playing, you just stop. You go in and tell the coaches, hey, I'm out. Don't play me anymore. That happens all the time. Preserve my red shirt. I'm not playing. And that's the other thing they need to take into account. They're only 3 games in. Every one of these dudes could say, I'm preserving my red shirt, and walk in on Wednesday and go, forget it, I'm out. They may want to wait a couple weeks before they fire him so they can make a few of these guys finish the season. But if he gets fired, it's not going to be a positive for anyone. Like, it's going to go down the tubes fast.
Zach said, I said before the season, but I truly mean it. There's no one who scares me, as Coach Lance would say. 158. No. Nice. Let's see. The only 10 you see said, what do we particularly have to worry about with Oklahoma's defense, and how do we combat it? Or will we discuss it on Thursday? So that'll be a preview show topic right there. That's a fantastic question. We will save that for the preview show later this week. Let's see. Bionic Clay said Billy's done, which stinks because I want him there to help us out.
I'm
Matt
telling you,
said,
it's gonna get worse. After they fire him, I mean, you have a starting wide receiver on Instagram after game 1 posting "F these guys." I mean,
yeah,
this is not gonna get better. It's just gonna
yeah.
get worse.
HD14 said, per usual, we'll make Jackson Arnold look like a Heisman contender. Man, I hope not. I hope not.
It's not gonna
I
happen.
get, I get why he's saying it though, but I hope
It's
not.
not
I
gonna
don't
happen.
think this team will let it happen. I don't think they'll let it happen. Sam said that booster donor money. He said, is that the same as their NIL promise?
Yeah. It's
That's
always a
pretty good.
good
I like that.
question involving Florida. But the fact that Chris Lowe reported it tells me he has a good idea of what's about to happen.
Let's see. Matt said our team is entering a gauntlet of SEC games. Can't wait. Yeah, it's gonna be fun. I mean, this is gonna be a fun. I mean, we don't have another. I don't want to say Kent State-esque type game, but we don't have another one of those until UTEP. So, well, maybe Mississippi State actually. So it's going to be a fun stretch of people here. Let's see. Keg said even if Oklahoma defense slows down or slows our offense down, isn't it great to know we can ride on the defense? Yeah, for sure, no doubt. This is a new day in Tennessee football. Like our defense is legit. It's kind of fun. It's enjoyable to be good on both sides of the ball again. Carson, welcome, buddy. Good to have you. He said, I'm more worried about their field condition at Oklahoma. Yeah, let's just hope.
Our running game's better. It actually plays to our advantage. You know, you got to remember, again, the offensive coordinator is Seth Littrell. He is a die-hard Mike Leach disciple air raid guy. Like he wants the field conditions as good as humanly possible because he doesn't know how to call anything otherwise. And so, you know, if it ends up being sloppy and it becomes a run-oriented game, that's totally to our advantage. Their leading rusher is their quarterback.
Bobby, welcome, buddy. He said, what are your thoughts on why we did an onside kick? I'm joining a little late, so if you already discussed, I'll go back and listen. Go Big Orange. So they said that they had planned, based on what they saw on film, that massive vacant area in their kickoff return formation. And so they planned going into the game that on the third kickoff, they were going to do an onside kick to that spot. Now, I don't think they anticipated it being 30-0 in the first quarter when they did it. But so Rustin has a good theory. You want to say what your theory was again?
Well, I mean, you script stuff like that. So if Mike Eckler says it was scripted, then it was scripted. I do think in that moment you take it off, unless logically you're like, okay, we were doing that to set up something in the future. So we're going to go ahead and do it so it's on film and people have to prepare for it and set up whatever the next thing is. I think that was for somebody else on our schedule.
Sean, welcome, buddy. He said, hopefully the refs aren't a factor in next week's game. This weekend's officiating was horrible in so many games. Let's see. Matt said that was a bad tackle by Jacoby Thomas. Wasn't the first one yesterday like that. I mean, yeah, dude, that was a big time hit.
He flies around. He's a player.
Big Dave, welcome, buddy. He said 65 points in the first half, 6 in the second half. Heupel did take his foot off the gas, shocked that Kent State didn't want the clock to keep moving. Yeah, and Rustin made a good point. So, you don't want to, demoralize your guys on the team by saying that. But he made a good point. He said that's when you go to the AD and say, tell me I have to say we have to do this. So it's not on the head coach, it's on the AD.
It's a whole lot easier for players to take if you as the head coach can walk in and go, listen, I didn't want to do it, but the athletic director said we've got to make the clock go faster in the second half, so we're going to shorten the game. Players never know the difference. And, if the AD stands there and goes, yes, do that, then, makes that conversation a lot simpler.
Mississippi Vault said, I see us getting around 34 to 35 points this Saturday. We'll save my prediction for Thursday. Need a couple nights to get a good sleep on it. Yeah, I totally agree.
Let me
Doug,
just put that in perspective. Okay. When you say we're going to score, I'm not picking on this one. I'm just saying in general, like, because this is how Josh Heupel thinks. He breaks games down into possessions and quarters. When you say we're going to score 34 to 35 points, that means that you think in every quarter we're only going to score somewhere between 8 to 9 points. Okay. When you think about this offense and the amount of possessions they get and the amount of plays they run, do you think the Oklahoma defense can hold them to 8 points a quarter? Just going to put that out there.
I mean, that's a fair point. Let's see. Dang, that's awesome. We got a ton of comments coming. I hadn't even given my takeaways from the game yet.
Well, I think we've kind of organically hit them.
Yeah. Let's see. Doug said, how would you attack? Oh, so I'll save that one for later. That can be a later question. Let's see. The only thing you see, so I think the defense gave up a lot of those yards up in the second half when their offense started stagnating.
Yeah.
Tony said Oklahoma's not elite on defense, but pretty good. Best defense we faced so far. No doubt about that. No doubt. Sam said, Rustin, they're giving up so much yardage on defense because they can't do a lot on offense. I just, again, they're starting Nickelback, and I'm going to keep going back to this. They're starting Nickelback last year. Let me see if I can get the acronym correctly. Played at Northeast Oklahoma A&M College. That's not made up. That's really where he was. Okay. He is starting in their secondary. He is 5'10", 170 something. Northeast Oklahoma A&M College. I'm just going to say it. Neomac.
Yeah. Squirrel White and Dante Thornton. Watch out.
Let's see. Kevin said, Rustin's teasing me with a Christmas wish. Florida going 1-11. Oh, Santa police.
So I just pulled up their schedule because, we said preseason, this is the toughest schedule maybe in the history of college football. Okay. Yeah. They're sitting at 1-2 right now. In my opinion, their only sure win, and now it may not be sure, is Mississippi State. Look at the rest of their schedule.
Yeah, they're not going to beat Central Florida.
No. Gus has a way better team right now. They're not going to beat Tennessee. They're not going to beat Kentucky. They're definitely not beating Georgia or Texas. LSU may screw around for a little bit, but they'll have more talent and they'll win in the long run. Ole Miss is going to boat race them. They'll beat them by 50. Yeah. And then they got Florida State. And surely by then, Florida State will have benched DJ Uyunglele and gone to Brock Glenn, and they'll have fixed their issues. So when you look at the rest of their schedule, I mean, I could see them losing out if Mississippi State, they have to go to Mississippi State this Saturday. What if they fire Billy Napier tomorrow and this whole week is just chaos, and then they have to go listen to those cowbells for 4 quarters against a quarterback who could outscore them? They could legitimately go 1-11.
Yeah, I mean, for real. Yeah, absolutely. They're not going to beat Central Florida. That's not going to happen. That was one of the other games that they potentially could have won. Not anymore. It's not going to happen. Let's see. Big Dave said Gators will call Alex Golish, and I would hate it if he went to Florida.
So that's going to be
actually a pretty good idea.
So somebody else made a comment about why would Lane Kiffin want to go there? And honestly, it's a good question because they haven't proven they can actually ante up any money in NIL. So I think the thing that's going to be most fascinating if they do fire Napier is who do they call? Because keep in mind, the current president is the interim president who helped hire Billy Napier. The current athletic director is the AD who chose Billy Napier. So these guys don't exactly have a great track record when it comes to making this decision. And there are college coaches out there who are going to look at that NIL budget and be like, nope, not doing that. So it's going to be interesting to see who they actually end up getting. And don't be surprised if some big names turn them down.
Yeah. Matt made a great point. He said, what other team rotates as deep as our defense, especially on defensive line? What other offense is dynamic as ours? Vols 1-2 punch is amazing. Yeah, he's exactly right. Yeah. I mean, that's a great point. Sam said, what are we going to label the end of season matchup, Florida and Florida State? Who's not worse? That's what we're going to call that one. That's what we'll call that one.
True statement.
Herb said, if a team jumps on Georgia a couple possessions, 10 to 14 points, do they have the offense to come back? That's a fair question after what they showed yesterday. Surely that was a fluke. I guess we'll find out in the next couple weeks because they got Bama 2 weeks from now. Let's see here. Only 10 you see. It's kind of glad we won't see South Carolina this year. They have no offense, but that defensive front is a beast. Yeah, 100%. They're playing really well. If Sellers hadn't gotten hurt yesterday, they would have beaten LSU. Ashton, welcome, buddy. He said regarding Billy Napier in Florida, Lane Kiffin wants no part of that dumpster fire. Yeah, that's a fair point. Absolutely. Zach, some great advice. He said, hit that like button and subscribe. I think that's a great advice. I totally agree, Zach. Richard, welcome, buddy. He said, we'll beat Oklahoma by 3 touchdowns. Go Big Orange. That would be wonderful. I would love it. Let's see. Zach said, why didn't Nico play much? That's pretty good. I like that, Zach. That was a good one. Ashton said, I heard something about the time of games possibly affecting records and stats. He said, I don't remember the context or the team, but someone was saying their team missed out on a win/record/stat a few years ago due to a shortened fourth quarter. I don't know if it's true, but interesting. So essentially, okay, let's just be real. I mean, that's what happened to the Tennessee baseball team this year. The Tennessee baseball team this year missed out on 22 innings of play. 22 innings because of all the run rule games they had. If they had an extra 22 innings, they missed the home run record by what, 10 or 9 or 10, something like that. Okay, if they had an extra 22 innings, you think they hit 10 home runs in 22 innings? Yeah, for sure. So it doesn't just impact football, man. It impacts baseball too. That's a great point. Great question. I'm sure you're right. I'm sure surely that's happened with as many teams as there are in Division I football. Surely that has happened, no doubt. Let's see. Mississippi Vol said, yeah, he's just ballparking. They very well may score more than 30, 35. Robert said Vols 48, Sooners 17. I would love it. Let's see. Dester, welcome, buddy. He said, this team's different. They don't quit. Our defense will give them a hard time all game long. Our offense is going to be hard to stop because of the running game. Go Vols will be there on Saturday. Oh, man, that's awesome. I hope you have an awesome time. That's fantastic. My wife's uncle is going to be there. I'm very jealous. Let's see. Doug said, is their best player the linebacker? I can't remember his name, but from what I've seen,
Danny Stutzman.
Neutralize.
Danny Stutzman. So I was actually reading up on him a little before this show. Through their first 3 games, he has 33 tackles. He's by far their leading tackler. But here's what's interesting. They never send him. Like, his job is to be the sure tackle 5-6 yards downfield. He has no sacks and no tackles for loss, but he's their leading tackler with 33, which tells you he's not attacking the backfield. He's sitting back, waiting on a running back to come through and then making a sure tackle, which, from a defensive perspective is sound because you're hoping that they throw an incompletion. You get a couple of tackles inside 4 yards, 5 yards, and all of a sudden it's 4th down. From a offensive perspective, that's a tendency That's something that you can key off of. The fact that he never blitzes, he always stays back, and you can adjust your block scheme to that. So I think it's something that the Tennessee offensive coaches will definitely key on, and we'll probably see some plays just for him.
Mr. Osborne, welcome, buddy. Good to have you. He said, "Go Big Orange to everyone in the Vol Bros. What a well played, focused game by the Big Orange." Yeah, great point. Being focused, they sure were. And Heupel even mentioned that in his, halftime comments there. And then he finished his halftime comments with maybe my favorite quote of the whole night. We had a good start to the football game. Yeah, no kidding. That's fair. He said, "Big road test upcoming with Oklahoma, but I have confidence in this football team. Is Napier gone before we play Florida?" I don't think so. I know people will want him gone, but I don't think so. It's just not advantageous to the school to get rid of him this early, because what are you going to do? Like who are you going to replace him with? Yeah, I think he'll still be around personally. Let's see. Bionic Clay, amen, brother. He said, "It's so refreshing to be a school that has a united administration and to see other schools like Florida struggle for a change." Yeah, amen, brother. The only 10 you see said Florida versus FSU equals the toilet bowl. Caleb Longcare, hi, Varbos. Hey, welcome, buddy. Good to have you. Let's see. Matt said our cornerbacks are SEC ready. Yes, they are. Dude, Jermon McCoy is the man. That dude is the man. Caleb said, "Tennessee's impressed me on defense pass coverage so far." I agree. Big Dave said, "I wonder how much influence Spurrier will have this go around the coaching hire at Florida." Yeah, I mean, that's a fair question.
None. He's not connected to any. If he's not connected to the interim president, he's not connected to the athletic director. They're not going to ask him. These are the same people that hired Billy Napier. I guarantee you Steve Spurrier wasn't consulted on that one.
Yeah. Herb said, how about Dalton Connect saying in pregame when asked how is LA, and he said it's not Knoxville and glad to be home. Just the culture in the athletic department and campus wide. Yeah, man, absolutely. Zach said, "Even though I can't stand Georgia, Bowers was great for them. Do you think Kitzelman, probably spelling that wrong anyway, could he be like Bowers for us?" No. No one is going to be like Brock Bowers.
Brock Bowers as a rookie is already the best tight end in the NFL. Like, you're not going to copy that guy.
I mean, that if anybody has that guy on their team, they are fortunate. But could our tight end trio be very effective and maybe the best tight end trio in the history of our school at the same time? Yes.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, you look back, and of course we've had phenomenal tight ends like Jason Witten, just Luke Stalker. I mean, incredible guys in the past. But when have you had three this athletic and this good at the same time? I mean, legit, I don't remember a time when we had three this good. So tight end is certainly a position of strength for us right now. But I don't remember a time we had this many this good. The only 10 you see said, "I love the reps the backup O-line got." Yeah, for sure. She said, "Andre Carrick's impressing me. I'd given up on him." I think a lot of people had. So I think that's a good point. Sam said the Florida buyout for Billy Napier is $28 million. Well, that must be nice. If it's before the end of the season. If they wait, they will lose a recruiting class. So here's my opinion. They're going to lose a recruiting class either way.
Yeah.
Because let's be totally honest, National Signing Day is now December 15th. Like, I mean, I know officially it's still the first Wednesday in February, but it's not anymore. Everybody's signing early. Well, if they fire him now, if they fire him before the end of the season, who do you get to replace him? Because you're going to have to wait for everybody else's seasons to end. And in a program like Florida, if you're wanting to bring in a big name like a Lane Kiffin or something like that, he's going to be in the college football playoff. His season's not going to be over until after National Signing Day. So that's the catch-22 position that Florida's in. If they fire Napier, they have to get somebody who's not an active coach right now. If they want like a big name. So, I mean, who are they going to go after? Dan Mullen or Jimbo Fisher or Urban Meyer? I mean, two of the three they've already had, you know? Maybe they go after Urban Meyer. Who knows? But if they fire him before the season's over, it puts them in a very difficult spot. Because, I mean, who are you going to get? Everybody else is coaching still. So that's one very interesting thing that I don't think a lot of people have talked about. The impact the college football playoff will have on the coaching carousel on National Signing Day.
Well, especially if that new law passes and they eliminate the spring portal window.
Yeah.
Then that winter portal window is literally the only one, and that could be a problem.
Absolutely.
And honestly, that's why I go back to, and people don't realize what a big deal this is because it happens behind closed doors and the coaches don't talk to the media about it. But that concept I mentioned it happened at Alabama last year. There was an Alabama player that went to the coaching staff after 3 games and said, "Do not put me in again. If you try to put me in, I will not go in. I'm redshirting. I'm leaving at the end of the year. Do not put me back in another game." That happened. Greg McElroy talked about it on the air. And it happens at every school in America. I'm sure if you look at our guys at Tennessee, somebody transferred last year, and we probably wondered, how come that one's not playing a little more? He probably went to the coaching staff and said, "Do not play me. I'm leaving." Florida's only played 3 games. They got to play 5 to lose the red shirt. They need to wait 2 weeks. They don't need to fire Billy Napier this week. They need to wait 2 weeks so these guys are locked in and have to finish the season and then have to consider coming back next year. If they fire him tomorrow, they're opening up Pandora's box, and you know, they're not going to get a coach in time to hit the portal well, and they may be playing with 50, 60 guys next year.
Yep. Robert said he heard Florida has agreed with Napier to resign. So not officially, no. There are rumors circulating, and in fact, there were so many rumors circulating that it started trending on Twitter earlier today. But there is not an agreement between them for that to happen yet. Rustin said that
he asked if that affects the portal. Resign, fire, doesn't matter. The minute the coaching staff gets fired, they get an extra 30 days to enter the portal.
So before I take any more questions and stuff, I want to give my takeaways from the game. Now that it's 9:58, so our first segment of the show, Rustin gave his takeaways earlier, so I'm going to give mine. So this is going to sound totally arrogant and sorry, but what I learned from yesterday is that everybody should be watching the Vol Bros. So that's what I learned yesterday, because almost every single thing we predicted is exactly what happened. I mean, like it's kind of funny. First of all, July 21st, I said that Vanderbilt would lose to Georgia State, and that happened. Rustin said I could see that happening too. After I tweeted that out yesterday, I also tweeted out Rustin's prediction. Rustin predicted 70-0 score. He was literally 1 point off. It was 71-0. We both predicted that for only the third time in the last 95 years, Tennessee would score over 70 points or more. We were right. If you go back and watch our show Thursday night, we always have a segment that we say, who are we going to be talking about on Sunday that had such a great game? Who is it? Both of us said Deshaun Bishop. The dude had a phenomenal game. I mean, back-to-back, like 40-yard touchdown runs, back-to-back plays or carries, I mean, like we nailed that one too. Yesterday's game, we that's why I put on the thumbnail for this. We witnessed history. most points in a quarter in the history of Tennessee football, most points in a half in the modern era. The modern era is from 1937 onward. That's when the forward pass was introduced into football. Most total yards in a game in the history of Tennessee football. That's a big deal. This is a top 10 winningest program of all time. And we just witnessed the most yards they've ever put up in one game. The most total yards. Dylan Sampson tied the single game rushing touchdown record in less than one half. He had 4 touchdowns. The current record, single season touchdown record at Tennessee is 18 touchdowns. Through 3 games, Dylan Sampson already has 9. He's halfway to the record, and we're only 1/4 of the way through the season. Which that's kind of sad to think about. We're already 1/4 of the way through the season. We witnessed history yesterday. Tennessee currently has a 178-point scoring margin against their 3 opponents this year. That is the most in the first 3 games in SEC history, not Tennessee history, SEC history. You think about some of the incredible football teams that have been in the SEC in the last 100-something years. And Tennessee has set a new record for all of those teams. It is absolutely phenomenal what we've seen through 3 games. It's phenomenal. And to echo what Mr. Osborne said earlier, you got to love the focus that they came out with. You got to love that. And, well, I'll get to that in a minute. Rustin, who was your player of the game?
I mean, over 100 yards rushing and 4 touchdowns. I think it's got to be Dylan Sampson.
Yep, totally agree. He was mine too. If the dude ties the single game rushing touchdown record in Tennessee football history, he earned it. And he did it in less than 1/2 of play. Mm-hmm. I mean, that's crazy. That's really good. So, yeah, he that was my player of the game. What was your play of the game? You want to know mine?
Yeah, go ahead.
This would not have been mine if I didn't know what Nico said after the game. So the touchdown pass to Chris Brazzell, the deep, 50-something yard touchdown pass.
Yeah.
That wasn't that play. That was not the play that was called. They changed into that play when Cooper snapped the ball because Cooper thought one of Kent State's players, Nico said all this in his post-game press conference.
Yeah.
Yeah. Cooper thought a dude jumped offside, so all of a sudden they thought it was a free play. So Brew and Chris Brazzell just went, okay, and just took off. Throw that thing deep. And they did it, and they scored a touchdown. So that's why that was my play of the game. That wasn't even supposed to have happened, and it ended up happening anyway. So what would be your play of the game?
I'll take Mike Matthews' touchdown catch only because of the degree of difficulty of the catch.
Yep, that's a great one. Dude lit him up, man.
Mm-hmm.
He hung on to the ball.
Well, it was also back shoulder. He elevated for it, caught it with his hands. I mean, that was an NFL catch, and people don't realize how tough that was. That was big time.
Absolutely. So let's see. I'm going to pick up at the comments. It's 10:04. The comment I'm starting on is at 9:54, so I'm about 10 minutes behind on the comments. So I apologize about that. But Doug asked, who do you think is that's a great question, actually. So I love this question. To the 425 people watching us across all 3 platforms right now, we got 351 folks on X, 71 on YouTube, and 3 on Facebook. So shout out to those 3 on Facebook. That's awesome. We just jumped up by 1. But it was on X, not Facebook. So to all those folks watching right now, y'all are awesome. Thank you so much for joining us. Doug has asked a great question. He said, "Who do you think is the most improved player on offense and defense?" For him on offense, it's Andre Carrick, and on defense, it's Joshua Josephs. All right. So you want to go first? You want me to? I
Go
got
ahead.
an offensive one.
Yeah,
Offense,
you
I'm
can go
gonna say
ahead.
Dylan Sampson. Dylan's always been good, but dude is dominating right now. Whether that's pass protection, whether that's running the ball, catching the ball in the backfield. He is leading the SEC in essentially every statistical category for running backs. Dude is just having a phenomenal year. Like I said, he's already halfway to the single season touchdown record, and we're only 3 games into the season. It's crazy what he's doing. So I'm gonna say Dylan Sampson for offense. For defense, that's a little tougher because what makes it tougher on defense? Nope, never mind. I got it. Dominic Bailey. that's what I'm going to say on defense. That dude is playing out of his mind right now. The NC State game in particular, that dude is making plays that we have not seen him make. That's who I'm going to say on defense.
Yeah. Don Bailey's a good one on defense. I'd also go Jeremiah Telander. He's playing at an insanely high level right now. If Keenan Peely hadn't transferred, Jeremiah Telander, everybody in the SEC would be talking about Jeremiah Telander. He would be flying around making all kinds of plays. Offensively, I like the fact that Andre Carrick has played hard and stayed injury free. That's been good for him. He's had massive injury issues. It's good to see him doing well. I'd also consider Dante Thornton. He's kind of gotten over his early season issues last year, and now he's a legit threat every time he steps on the field. So
Great choice.
I like any of those.
Yeah, Dante Thornton especially. I think that's a really good one. Ashton said, "I still think Jolie at NC State, formerly at UConn, is one of the best receiving tight ends in college football right now." Yeah, I agree with that. Dude's a really good athlete, no doubt.
Vegas odds came out earlier this evening. Tennessee's a 6.5 point favorite.
I'd say that'd be a safe bet. Zach said, "Will we see James Pierce Jr.'s first sack versus Oklahoma?" Maybe.
Yes.
Think about what teams have done. We've played 3 teams. All 3 teams very clearly have the same game plan: get the ball out of the quarterback's hands. Because it's not a surprise, like they all know. They know what we got on the defensive line. They know what we have in our front 7. They don't want to face it either. And so, out of preservation for their quarterbacks, they have all game planned to get the ball out of his hands quickly. Well, Oklahoma's going to do the exact same thing. So, I don't know. That's a great question. I hope he does. He would have gotten it last night, but the dude held him so bad, which it got called because how could it not? But,
well, like I said, I think we're going to see some wrinkles that nobody's seen yet this weekend, and I think those are the kinds of things that are going to free him up to get that sack.
I agree totally. Let's see. Caleb makes a good point. He says the way Georgia's been playing, the Tennessee game in November looks like it's going to be a lot closer than what people expected. Yeah, I totally agree. Deborah, welcome, Deborah. Good to have you. She said Kent State center voted Vol MVP. Yeah, that dude was helping us out quite a bit in the first half. Quite a bit. I like that. That was good. Oh, Michael. Yes, this is my favorite quote of the night so far. Butch Jones to Florida. I'm going to manifest this to happen. Oh, man, that would be amazing. And people falling on helmets and on alligators down there. That would be just be the icing on the cake, man. That would be amazing. Let's see. Sam said, I want Florida to hire Michael Cook as AD. Jared said, Derek Dooley's just a phone call away.
He's always available.
I love that. I love that. That's great. Ashton said for them to go through all that just to get Mullen back would be hilarious. Yeah,
I'm pretty confident Dan Mullen will not be returning to Florida. That bridge has been burned thoroughly.
The only thing you see makes a good point. She said Georgia just struggles against Kentucky in their pro style play. Tells us nothing about how they'll show up to play us. Let's see. Michael said Florida can't afford him. I love it. Let's see. Big Dave said, if a kid said, don't play me, I'm leaving, my response, well, bye. Just clean out your locker. Don't let the door hit you on the way out. Yeah, I mean, for sure.
The problem they have is it's, and this is going to sound weird to say, it's better to just keep it in house and let the kid go away quietly at the end of the semester than to have a big confrontation and, you know, have a kid get kicked off the team or removed from the team mid-season, because then the kid can go on social media, tell all kinds of things that were happening behind the scenes. Now you're hurting recruiting. It's easier just to go, okay, fine, and let them walk away quietly at the end of the semester.
Big Dave, he agreed with me. He said, heck yeah, watch the Vol Bros. I appreciate that, man. Absolutely. Doug said, great show. Love interacting with the Vol Bros and Vol Nation. Need to go to bed, so we'll watch the rest on replay. Hey, we appreciate you, Doug, so much, man. Thank you so much for joining us. I hope you have a good rest of the evening. Mississippi Vol said, well, I had a good prediction myself. When I found out Mike Matthews was playing, I said he'd have 2 catches for 37 yards. He finished with 2 catches for 35 yards. That's pretty daggum close, man. That is an excellent prediction.
I did not expect to see him returning kickoffs. That was interesting.
Yeah, I totally agree. Bionic Clay said, I know he plays running back, and running backs don't win the Heisman very often anymore.
Yeah.
But does Dylan Sampson make a good argument for that? Well, I mean, right now, how could he not be, right? I mean, if you're leading the SEC, which is undoubtedly the best conference in the country now, I mean, my goodness, just look at the top 10. I mean, like almost half the top 10 is SEC teams. And so, I mean, think about, okay, so you got Texas, Georgia, then Ohio State, then Alabama, and then who was after Alabama? Ole Miss, then us, then Missouri. And I think there's one more. So at least 6 of the top 10 teams are Tennessee or SEC teams. And the guy who's leading the SEC in every statistical category for running backs. Yeah, that's a fair argument. I totally agree, man. Jared said, we completely dominated the first half yesterday at 65 points. Can you think of how it was in 1916 when Georgia Tech put up 222 points against Cumberland? Yeah, that's a good point. And they weren't even allowed to throw the ball back then.
Wait, so that was the same team that Tennessee scored 101 on?
It was the very next year. Tennessee scored 101 on them in 1915, and then in 1916, Georgia Tech scored 222 on them.
The 19s were not kind to Cumberland.
No, they were not. That was a rough few years for them. Let's see. Zach said his players of the game were Dylan Sampson and Keenan Peely. I think those are 2 excellent choices. Matt said Brew's my favorite, but Dylan is knocking hard on that door. Yeah, I mean, the dude's just playing incredible right now. James said his favorite play of the game was Gaston Moore. No one throws like Gaston. No one runs like Gaston. Gaston Moore's pass to Mike Matthews. Absolutely. Zach said his play of the game was first Mike Matthews touchdown. James said, great minds think alike, Rustin. HT14, good night, bros. Well, hey, hope you have a great evening, man. Hope you have a great evening. Let's see. Ricky said 1 is the heckler. You're the heckler, Ricky. So what are you talking about right now? He's one of the three on Facebook. That's what he was talking about. The three people on Facebook. One was Ricky. Hey, I appreciate that, Ricky. Appreciate that. Matt said Dylan Sampson's got the wiggles. Absolutely. Caleb Longcare said offensive player of the game was Dylan Sampson. Defense was Keenan Peely. We missed him bad last year. Yes, we did. Only 10UC said Deshaun Bishop keeps impressing me, but the truth is none of our players are slouches. Amen. Isn't it nice? Isn't it nice to have this kind of depth again? I mean, like, this is easily the most talented team we've had in 18 years.
At least
17 years. 2007, we went to the SEC championship game. I mean, it's wonderful having this much talent again. Let's see. Austin said the way Sampson waits behind his blockers and hits gaps as soon as they open reminds me a lot of Le'Veon Bell. That's a cool comparison. Tyler said the line for this Saturday is already up to 7.5. Let's see. Big Dave said 6.5 is low, 9.5 to 10.5. Keep in mind Vegas had Kent State at 40. Yeah, that's right. Absolutely. VFL in Texas. He's right. He did go 9-1 this weekend. I think he's all the way up. Let's see. I'll pull up the standings here in a minute. Let's see. Matt said I'm a fan of Cam Seldon, but Deshaun Bishop has earned that number 2 spot. I mean, they're both incredible backs. That's okay. I'm gonna say this again. I don't want to toot our own horns here, but Rustin and I all off season long, people were talking about, Tennessee's backfield's so depleted, and both of us kept saying, no, it's not. It's really not. We were saying they got 5 dudes that all can get out there and and a very little drop off. That's a deep, deep room, and we're seeing it now. We are definitely seeing that. Let's see. Kevin said, so what about DeBoer's got Bama working? What do we need to do, assuming players stay healthy? I feel like our DBs match up with him and our line seems strong. It's weird. Alabama, they've had 2 strong no, I can't even say that. Against South Florida, they had a strong fourth quarter. Against Wisconsin, they had a strong second half. So if Tennessee does what Tennessee does typically, and they come out hot and they score quickly, that could dramatically impact the outlook of that game. Because now all of a sudden, if that happens and Alabama's trying to play catch up and they're having to throw the ball a lot, that means, Milrose sitting in the pocket for our front 7 to come after him. That could be a big difference in that game if we get out early to an early lead.
We'll learn a lot more about Alabama next Saturday. They've got this week off, and then next week they've got Georgia in the primetime game on ABC. I don't think that Alabama has necessarily played anyone yet. I mean, South Florida is decent. Coach Golish does a good job, but at the end of the day, it's South Florida trying to compete against a Power 5 school. Wisconsin's not any good. Like, they're just bad. So I don't know that we can really say what Alabama is yet. Next Saturday, we'll have a very good, clear picture of who Alabama is at that point.
Carl, welcome, Carl. It was good to see you, buddy. He said, howdy, bros. That's awesome. VFL and Texas said Quinn Ewers has abdominal strain listed as week to week. Yeah, he'll be back soon.
He was very vocal today that he would be back as soon as possible, and kind of hinted that he would be okay by Saturday. He was very much feeling the pressure of Arch Manning being all over SportsCenter the last 24 hours.
Carl, you're the man, dude. And Carl comes in here on fire. Look at this. We appreciate you, buddy. He said, make good money Saturday, but Sunday, not so good.
You a Titans
Hey,
fan, Carl?
we appreciate that very much, Carl. You're very kind to us, buddy. You
I
are the
can
man. We
save you a
appreciate
lot of money. Don't bet on Will Levis ever.
Let's see. Let's see. VFL in Texas said, make Milrow throw it, stop the run, keep him in the pocket, make him throw it. Bonnet Clay said the same thing. Keep Milrow in the pocket. Yeah, I mean that they're exactly right. Like, and Zach made a good point. He said they almost lost to South Florida. They sure did. In the third quarter, it was a 1-score game. If it hadn't been for that fourth quarter explosion, it would have been real bad. Matt said, love how y'all work your streams off of our comments. Hey, we appreciate that. We try to hit as many of them as I possibly can. I hadn't been able to get all of them tonight, but I'm trying. So that's the best part of the show, man. It's what's so fun. Getting to hear and interact with you guys. It's the best. Let's see. The only 10 you see said you never go pro with your bets, Carl. Let's see. Jack, welcome, Jack. Good to have you, buddy. I like that Denver Broncos logo. That's pretty cool. He said, same with Oklahoma. Jackson Arnold loves using his legs. You're exactly right. You're 100% correct. And so, we were talking about that earlier. The key to beating Oklahoma is you got to contain Jackson Arnold. Like, he is their offense right now. They discovered that this week, actually, against Tulane, because they had really been struggling. They had, in their first game of the season against Houston, they had 1 third down conversion. That was it. That ain't good. So they found out this week their best offense is when Arnold uses his legs. So you keep him in the pocket, all of a sudden, it's looking pretty good for the Big Orange. Let's see. Sam said Oklahoma can't get into a high-scoring game. I think Tennessee will wear them out as long as we don't give them anything when we're on offense. 100% agree. If we protect the football, we win this game. I 100% am on board with that, no doubt. If we protect the football, we don't give them free gifts, we win the game. So that's what we have to do. VFL and Texas said Oklahoma's offense is awful so far, yeah. Let's see. Caleb said Tennessee 45, Bama 38, my prediction for the third Saturday in October. Man, Caleb's already throwing out his call for week 8 or whatever that is. Let's see. Carl said he found some piranhas in his weekend betting there. Jack said, truly think we demolish Oklahoma on both sides of the line of scrimmage. I agree with that. That's why we win the game, right? Like, you win and lose the game on the line of scrimmage. Oklahoma's line of scrimmage on both sides of the ball cannot compete with ours, especially their offensive line against our defensive front seven. It ain't happening. That's why Tennessee's going to win. Let's see. Mr. Osborne said, I agree with Matt. The interaction with everyone on this channel makes the Vol Bros my favorite channel. I just need to decide on an extra large or large t-shirt from your shop section. Hey, I appreciate that very much. I appreciate that. They do run pretty true to size. I'll give them that. It's not like some places everything's kind of small or big. These are pretty much spot on. So I'll give Teespring credit for that. Speaking of that, you know what? Just since it was brought up, why don't I show everybody? Because I should be doing this all the time, but I never do. So just in case we got 496 people watching right now. So just in case you have never visited our website, thevolbros.com, you can go right here to shop, and we got just awesome selection of stuff on here that you can take advantage of. We got our Everything School shirts. Those are pretty cool. Tennessee Mom shirts, Go Big Orange, TriStar State. Honorary Sis and Honorary Bro shirts. Battered Vol Syndrome Survivor shirts. In my Tony era stuff. We got a lot of cool stuff on there. On the second page, that's what I was looking for. So we got like stuff like this. The Vol Bros logo on there and everything. We got pickleball paddles on there. I mean, we just got all kinds of stuff. So, oh, hey, the only 10 you see. Thank you so much. She just gave a $10 super chat. She said, "Gotta go, but love you guys. Enjoyed. Hey, we love you too. Only 10 you see. We appreciate you very much." Zach said, "Can't stay any longer. Good night, all bros in chat." Hey, we appreciate you, Zach. You're the man, buddy. You are the man. Let's see here. So Carl said Oklahoma Sooners fired Josh Heupel. True, but don't even know the real reason why. I think that's fair. Absolutely. Jack said absolutely. The only reason why Kentucky stuck in the game against Georgia was just as beating them at the line of scrimmage, which truly shocked me. Yeah, that game was bizarre. Caleb said, "Can we give our defense props for not giving up an offensive touchdown in 16 straight quarters?" Dating all the way back to the Iowa bowl game. Absolutely. Tennessee's defense has been next level lately. It's been fantastic. Fantastic. Absolutely fantastic. So, real quick, I do want to show everybody the games for this week in the College Football Pick'em Challenge. So, also on our website, if you go there, we have every year a College Football Pick'em Challenge contest. So, right here, you click on contest. So, the standings so far for week 3, we have a new leader. Sandoval is now in second place. He had a good week. He went 7-3, but Mason Nation went 9-1. We had 5 people go 9-1 this week. Rustin and I both went 8-2. The only 2 games I missed were Washington State and the UCF game. UCF beat TCU by 1 point, so I missed that one. Rustin got the UCF one. He missed Washington State, I think. Who was the other one you missed, Rustin?
UCF.
Did you pick TCU?
No, I picked UCF.
Oh yeah, so I think yours was Florida State, Memphis.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
So we both went 8-2 this week. We're both sitting 2 games off the lead. Tyler, if Tyler's still with us, he's now tied for second place with Sandoval. Tyler went 9-1. He's the Rocky Top Reverend right there. And so it's a lot of fun. This week's game, there's some really good games this week. Like, okay, so I'll put it to you this way. Let's start with this. These games I'm about to mention right now didn't make the cut for this week's 10 games. So the games that didn't make this list: NC State at Clemson, Florida at Mississippi State, in the battle of who's not worse, Memphis at Navy. Those are 2 undefeated teams right now. Georgia Tech at Louisville. Louisville's currently 19th in the AP poll, but they hadn't really played anybody, so that's why I didn't put it on here, because I don't really buy that 19th ranking yet. We'll see what happens with Georgia Tech. UCLA at LSU. TCU at SMU. The classic ACC matchup, California at Florida State. That is an ACC conference game now, by the way.
Which right now, especially after the way Cal played against Auburn, it's not looking good for Florida State.
I definitely not. Cal's undefeated. They're 3-0.
Yep.
Florida State is just defeated. They haven't won one yet, so they're 0-3. Michigan State at Boston College. Michigan State's undefeated, and they've got a decent win under their belt as well. But there were other games that I felt like were better games, and so I didn't put those on the list for this week. So let's look at this week's games, because there's some good ones on there. Let's see here. Oh, Tyler said, "Thank you, Memphis, for that 9-1 thing." Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I was happy. I actually got that one. I called that one. So our games this week, picks are due by Thursday night, because the first game is on Friday. It's Illinois at Nebraska. We actually have 4 top 25 matchups this week. 4 of them. That is a lot. I mean, you think about that, 1/3 of the top 25 are playing each other this week. Like, that's a lot for 1 week. Illinois at Nebraska is one of the top 25 matchups. USC at Michigan is another one. We'll get to that in a second. So USC Michigan, that's another top 25 matchup. Arizona State at Texas Tech. Arizona State's undefeated. Texas Tech was actually predicted by some people to win the Big 12 this year. They're 2-1. That's going to be a good game. Arkansas at Auburn. That's going to be, I put that one on there just because it's going to be close. Utah at Oklahoma State. There's another top 25 matchup. This, in my opinion, is actually the toughest one this whole week. It's number 12 versus number 14. That, in my opinion, is the toughest game to predict this week. Miami at South Florida. It's going to be a good game. It's going to be a good game. Sadly, this is Miami's toughest test on the season so far, more so than Florida. This is going to be a good game. Tennessee at Oklahoma, game of the week for sure. Game day is going to be there. Iowa at Minnesota. That's going to be a great game. Both teams are 2-1. Baylor at Colorado. Very similar teams. It's going to be a good game. And Kansas State at BYU. Another really, really good matchup there. BYU is not currently in the top 25, but they got some good wins under their belt. So a lot of fun this week on those games. It's going to be really good. Games are now available at thevolbros.com. So be sure to get your picks in before or by the end of the night Thursday. So we'll finish out with some last questions and comments here from the chat. Let's see. Jack said Stoops fired Heupel to cover for his brother, so he didn't lose his job. Truly convinced of that. I mean, that's a fair take.
That's the most common thought process.
Sean said he's already taken a peek at the games for this week. Much harder than they've been the last few weeks. Totally agree. 100% agree. Oreo Puppy Dog said we're going to beat Oklahoma like they stolen Smokey. Let's see. Sam said shocking thing about Georgia versus Kentucky game was if this was an equal line of scrimmage game, what does that say about South Carolina? That's a fair point. Carl said 3 weeks of betting college hitting at 100%, but Pickham's pretty much dead last. Yeah, Carl was the man last year at this. He was like leading the whole season long pretty much. Let's see. Rod, welcome, Rod. Good to have you. He said, first time watching, love the show. We'll be listening every week in the future. Great show. Hey, we appreciate that so much, man. We're live every Thursday and Sunday at 9:00 Eastern, except for this Thursday. I have to be at an event Thursday night until 9:00, so I won't be home until probably 9:45 or 10. So because of that, this week we're actually going to go live on Wednesday night instead of Thursday. So we'll preview the Oklahoma game on Wednesday night. That's my fault. My day job has gotta have responsibilities for that one too. Jack said no fan base in the country deserves to be 0-3 more than Florida State. That's pretty funny. Carl said FSU fans switching the letters to USF to feel like a winner. I like that. That's good. VFL said can't remember my picks. Is there a way for us to see our picks from previous weeks? Yes. So I post those every week on all of our social platforms. So you can go to our Twitter account and you can find everybody's picks right there. Let's see. Carl said USC should beat Michigan. Yeah, they should. I agree. Totally. Carl said Miami goes down to the Fighting Golishes. Man, I would love it. I would love it if that happened. That would be so good. They just got to find a way to contain Cam Ward. That's gonna be the tough one that week. Jack said Utah walks away with it over Oklahoma State. Utah's all veterans, and Ollie Gordon is the entire Oklahoma State offense. I mean that's a fair call. Mr. Osborne said he went 8-2 last week. That's what I'm talking about, buddy. That's what I'm talking about. Jack said, I think Kentucky South Carolina game was so bad because they 100% looked ahead of Georgia. I don't know. South Carolina looked good against LSU for 3 quarters. Let's see. Kyle, welcome, buddy. He said Napier and Norvell will both be fired this year. Not Norvell.
If Norvell's fired, the wheels have officially come off the wagon. His buyout is $65 million. So I think they'll give him a chance to fire the whole staff, revamp everything, blah, blah, blah. But I would be very, very surprised if they fire Mike Norvell.
He went 13-0 last year. They're not firing him this year. Unless they go like 0-13.
If he does something stubborn, like it's becoming readily obvious that DJ Uyunglele is the problem. Like, you've got to make a quarterback change. And for whatever reason, he refuses to. So, like, if they get down the road and they're like 1-7, 1-8, and he keeps riding with DJ, and everybody's like, get rid of him or we're done, and he gets stubborn about it, those are the moments when all of a sudden, all right, we'll pay that buyout.
I could have told you DJ was going to be the problem before the year started.
Yeah. Hasn't really worked out much of anywhere for him.
Caleb said Tennessee's going to tip over the Oklahoma wagon. Okay. It would so not be funny if the thing flipped over when they came running out Saturday, but it would also be pretty funny if that happened. That would be good. Let's see. Dester, welcome, buddy. I'm not sure who he's talking about. He said, is he talking about Peyton Lewis? I'm not sure. Let's see. Peyton's pretty good. Let's see. Carl said, not only that, Stoops got crushed by Johnny Manziel and A&M and wanted Josh to use it. Josh just didn't want it because he didn't have personnel. Josh was scapegoated. Yeah, there's a lot of people feel that way. Matt said Brentwood's at McCallie this Friday night, so George McIntyre's in Chattanooga this week. Yep, there'll be a lot of orange in that stadium, I bet. Let's see. Kyle said, I truly believe Tennessee and Bama are the best two teams right now. I would say Texas and Tennessee are currently playing the best out of any teams in the country. Mm-hmm. That would be my. Let's see. Jack said, I'm really scared Florida fires Napier than hires Golish. That wouldn't be good. Let's see.
Alex Golish is a smart guy. I'm not sure he would want the Florida job. Right now, that's a dumpster fire internally. They have no NIL money. They've got bad leadership at the top. Like, that's not a good job right now.
So Jack asked, 1-10 Florida versus 0-11 FSU is going to get picked up by Nickelodeon at primetime 8 a.m. That's pretty good. Fort Rep 1, welcome, buddy. Good to have you. He said, does Cam Selden travel this weekend? Yes, 100%.
He could have played this Saturday. They just held him out because it was Kent State.
Yeah. Every single person on this roster who is available to play will be playing this weekend.
Yeah.
And available. The only one who might not is Sham Umarov. And I don't know the extent of his injury, but everybody else on this roster will be active and ready to play this weekend. Yep. Mr. Osborne said, if I were Mike Norvell, I'll put my backup quarterback in this week against Cal. It can't be any worse than DJ. Yeah, I agree. I mean, DJ ain't it. He's not the answer. I'm sorry. He is not the answer. Kyle said, yeah, he agreed about Texas being one of the best teams. Caleb said you can make an argument that Tennessee should be in the top 5 of the AP poll. 100% you can. Absolutely. No doubt about it. Well, we appreciate all 508 people who are watching across all 3 platforms right now. Nobody on Facebook, but we got 450 on X and 58 on YouTube. So we appreciate you all so much. Seriously, This is a blast for us, man. We love it. It's so much fun. Jack said Florida just has so much potential to be so good again. A lot of NIL money.
Mm-mm. That
Great
NIL
name
bucket
recognition.
is empty.
So that's the problem right now. Actually, is their NIL program is collapsing, or has already collapsed, and they don't have the money to pay folks.
Yeah.
I totally right about great name recognition. 100% right. But he said, I agree. It's definitely a dumpster fire there right now. It is. Yes. And their schedule is not making things any easier. Like they legit might not win another game this season. So not a fun time to be a Gators fan. Carl. Let's see. Matt said Sham might be out for the year.
Yeah.
That knee injury looked bad. Yeah, I mean we'll know more hopefully maybe tomorrow actually.
Yeah.
Because when Heupel does his weekly press conference, typically we'll probably know tomorrow. Some of the reporters are going to ask for sure. Sam said heard some folks saying that Florida had some organizational alignment issues. Yes,
Big time.
yes. Let's see. Caleb, good night, buddy. Good to have you. Jack said, I've heard prior to this season that they had a good collective. Must be mistaken.
They told lots of people they had a good collective until everybody found out none of the checks were cashing. And then they realized there was actually not much of a collective at all. Then the collective got shut down for a while by the NCAA because they were lying to kids. Then the whole Jaden Rashada debacle happened where they promised him $13 million and gave him nothing. And then he's suing the University of Florida. Yeah, that NIL program is a train wreck.
Yeah, the Jaden Rashada stuff is really what started the whole downward spiral. It is not good right now down there.
But it happened again a couple of months ago. They promised another kid a bunch of money, didn't pay up, and now he's joining Rashada's lawsuit. I mean, it's train wreck.
Kyle said, have a good night. Tennessee beats Sooners 51-6. Go Big Orange. Woo! Now that would be awesome. Listen, okay, if Tennessee does that, they better be number one in the country on Monday, a week from tomorrow. If they do that, they better be the number one team in the country, because that would be a massive beatdown. Carl said, love you guys. Going to find sprinkles because winners get sprinkles. Love you too, Carl. Appreciate you, buddy. He said, Vols 52, Sooners 13. Man, I would love it if that happened. I would love it. Kyle said Sooners aren't ready for what's about to happen. Heupel wants to throttle them. Well, that's for sure. That is for sure. There is no doubt about that. Kevin said Tennessee 45, Oklahoma 24. I can get on board with that. I don't think Oklahoma's going to score that much, but I also don't know if Tennessee is going to get out of the 30s.
Well, hold on now. You said you didn't know Oklahoma was going to score that much. A minute ago, somebody said 45-10, and you're like, I don't think that can happen. But now all of a sudden, you're okay with 45-17?
No, I'm going to say it's going to end up being like 38-17. I don't think Oklahoma's going to cross 20 points by any means. I also don't know if they're going to score 2 touchdowns. I think it would probably be more like, see, now I'm giving away my stuff for Wednesday, but I think it's going to be more like 1 touchdown and 3 field goals kind of stuff. So I would almost bet more on like 38-16, something like that. That would be, I don't think they're crossing 20 points. And I don't think Tennessee's going to score 40. I think Tennessee's going to end up around upper 30s. So I would lean more towards like 38-16.
Okay.
Kevin said, good night, y'all. We appreciate you, Kevin. Thank you so much, buddy. Carl. No, Carl. This is what I'm concerned about, Carl. This is my fear. This is why I don't think it's going to be what everybody is saying. Because, listen, none of us live in an echo chamber. We all, the whole country Every person in this country is going to hear all week long. It's Heupel's return to Oklahoma. It's Heupel's return to Oklahoma. Tomorrow in Heupel's press conference, he's going to be asked about his return to Oklahoma. It's going to be the talk all week long, and his players are going to hear it too. And that's what concerns me. Because they're going to, when they're like, "Oh, I'm going to win this for coach." That's great. I love that. But then they try to do stuff that beyond of what they would normally do. And they try to press and make the issue happen. Maybe Nico tries to force one in a window that he might not should try to force it into. That's when mistakes happen, when people try to do too much. And they could have great, motivation. They're trying to win it for the coach. I get that. But they don't need that. Tennessee is a better football team than Oklahoma. Tennessee's front seven on defense, Oklahoma's offensive line cannot stand up against them. They just can't. They just can't. And so Tennessee needs to just do what Tennessee does. And I'm going to give Josh Heupel credit because, listen, we all know he wants to win that game too. He wants to kick their tails. We know that. But if anybody heard what Heupel said to Cole Kubelik in his interview with him after the game, it was at halftime actually. He said every opponent is a faceless opponent. They're nameless. And his point was, and then actually Alvin Kamara said the exact same thing today, which I'm glad I have him on my fantasy team. But their point is, it doesn't matter who you're playing, whether it's Kent State or Oklahoma. You treat every single opponent the same. That was their point in saying that. That was Heupel's point. So Heupel knows. He knows all this stuff is coming this week. And even at halftime of the Kent State game, he was already teaching his team, it doesn't matter who you're playing. You treat every single opponent the same. They're nameless. They're faceless. You treat them all the same. You compete the same against all of them. That's a good football coach. Because he could so easily be sitting in that locker room and be like, "Y'all, I want this one. I want this one bad." He could do that. But he's not going to because he's a good coach. So I sincerely hope they tune out all of the noise this week. And they just go get ready to play football the way they know how to play football. That's what I'm hoping happens. Because that is my exact fear. That they won't tune out the noise. And I hope that Heupel and staff don't give them that option. Jack said, "Go Vols till the day I die." Absolutely. Absolutely. Kyle said, "Sooners might score one on offense if they're lucky. Score one touchdown on offense if they're lucky. I truly believe we are that much better." Well, I agree because their offenses look terrible so far. So that's why I think it's a field goal or one touchdown and 3 field goals kind of game for Oklahoma. Gail, welcome, Gail. Good to have you. She said, "Go Big Orange." Absolutely. Matt said, "I'm going to Oklahoma. I pray to the football gods we throttle them. I hope you have a safe trip over there. I hope you have a great time while you're there. Should be an incredible environment." And that's another thing. This is Nico's first true road game as a starter. It's his first true, not only first true road game, but his first SEC game as a starter. So, I mean, it's a big time environment, big time game. Hopefully they're mature enough to handle it. I know our defense is because they're full of veterans, and our offensive line is full of veterans. So that's why I feel comfortable with it because Nico is surrounded by veterans. Sam made a good point. He said Sooners feel disrespected. They were talking about stomping a mud hole with Tennessee and walking it dry. Yeah, if I were Oklahoma, I would not be giving Tennessee ammunition this week.
They need to stop talking.
Because like Rustin said earlier, there is no way that Oklahoma's makeshift offensive line right now is going to be able to stand up against the 14 different defensive linemen we can run out there at any given moment. They're not going to be able to do it. Carlson Heupel's already stated it will be good to see alumni, but no warm fuzzies about Oklahoma. Yeah, exactly right. Carl said, trust that they know what's not being said by hype. What I meant was focused. Oh, yeah. Yeah, man. They will be focused. No doubt about that. Because I think they see the writing on the wall, too. They know if they want to go to the college football playoff, they have to win this week. It's not an option. They have to. Their goal is to make the playoff. You have to win this week. So I think that's why they'll be focused. Kyle said the Sooners' offensive line is trash. Go Big Orange. Nameless and faceless. Absolutely. Nameless and faceless. That's what he said. You treat every opponent the same. Every opponent. Gail said Coach Inge and Coach Banks will have that line tuned and ready to go. Absolutely. I would not want to be Jackson Arnold on Saturday because that dude is he's going to be well acquainted with a bunch of orange jerseys all night. Kyle said a lot of Rocky Top in Oklahoma. I hope so, man. Jack said, good night, y'all. Go Vols. Hey, we appreciate you, buddy. Thank you so much for joining us. This has been a lot of fun. Normally, to the 524 people watching right now, normally we got 463 on X, 61 on YouTube. Let's see. Carl said, we'll check prices to see if we can swing the trip to Oklahoma. Already saving for trips for deer hunting and license back in Tennessee and money for Christmas, but we'll check my change jar. Hey, if you have a couple more Saturdays like you did yesterday, you might have it covered, but so we hope everybody has a great evening. Normally we do go live on Thursdays as our preview show, but like I said earlier, if you weren't with us, I have an event with my day job that I have to be at that night, so I will not be home in time for our live show at 9. So because of that, we're going to go live on Wednesday night this week, so it's a little bit different for us. Normally we go live every Sunday and Thursday at 9 o'clock Eastern. This week it'll be on Wednesday at 9 o'clock Eastern. So we hope everybody joins us then. All 524 folks watching, we appreciate you so much across all 3 platforms. We appreciate you. We hope all of you have a great evening. And as always, go Vols, baby. Go Vols.